Hey, welcome back to the disturbingly ambiguous world of spousal sponsorship for Canada. You know, this process of sponsorship for Canada is almost like peeling an onion. You peel one layer, you get a bunch of forms, you fill them out, and then as you keep peeling more and more layers, you still keep getting more and more forms. And you know what else is common between these two? You always end up in tears. Cry no more, because weeping photos make for unconvincing proof of relationship, which is exactly what we are going to look in this video, photos to prove your relationship. We'll look at the right photos to select, how to label them, how to provide context or description, whether to combine them or upload individually, how to compress them to the right size, and then finally how to get your permanent resident photo, your personal photo, which you need to get from your photographer and then scan it to digitally upload to the online portal. My name is Suyash, I live in Toronto and I make YouTube videos in my spare time, which ironically these days leaves me very little time to spare. But I always find time for a horrible punchline. Let's peel the onion. Alright, so the instructions for photos can be found under section 7 of this document checklist 5533. I'm going to link it in the description below on how to download this document. By this time, you should be familiar with this document. You have to submit it along with your application packet. Alright, so for the purpose of this video, let's get to page 8. Section 7, proof of relationship to sponsor. Alright, so if you keep scrolling down all the way until you get to section 7E, this is where you'll have instructions on photos of your wedding, customary celebrations, engagement, outings. It talks about the number of photos you can provide and what context to provide for those photos. Alright, I covered this section on which photos to select for your marriage or customary celebrations, along with all the other proof of relationship documents you must provide. So financial transactions, joint address proof, government issued IDs, past cohabitation, marriage certificate, all that I cover in my proof of relationship video, which should be showing up on the cards here, also linked in the description below. So go check that video out if you're looking to get the documents on proof of relationship. Alright, so now that you've procured your photos, let's look at how to prepare them for the upload to the online portal. Alright. So the first step is to log into your permanent resident online application. By this time, you should be familiar with this new portal. If you still aren't, then there's a video that should be showing up on the cards here. It's linked in the description below. Go check it out. I explain everything about what this new portal is and how to use that. All right. So once you log into your application, just scroll down. You'll see a bunch of forms. And if you keep scrolling down, you'll see the instructions for document labeling. We'll get to labeling in a second, but let's first look at digital photos. The accepted file types are PDF, JPG, JPEG, PNG, Doc, and DocX. So PDF is obviously Adobe Reader and Doc and DocX are Microsoft Word. So we are going to look at how to prepare these photos next. All right, and then how to compress them so that the quality doesn't get distorted and the file size is still less than 4 megabytes so that we are allowed to upload them here. All right, all that coming up. Okay, so let me give you an example. So if I show you a photo from my wedding reception, as you can see, if I zoom in, this photo is pretty clear. The faces are easily identifiable and it has other people present. Public acknowledgement, one of the requirements of proof of relationship documents. All right. So this is my mom, my wife, me, my dad, and some random guy who attended the wedding, but other people are present. And this photo is pretty clear. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check the size of this photo. So you right click, go to get info. If you're using a Mac, if you're using Windows, then right click, get to properties. And as I see here, this photo is 11.3 megabytes. So clearly, I'm not going to be able to upload this photo in this portal because the maximum size allowed is 4 megabytes. So the next step would be to compress this photo. So what you can do is simply go to Google, type compress JPEG, because it's a JPEG type. If it's a PNG, you can type compress PNG, but right now we are working with a JPEG and this link will pop up, compressjpeg.com. You can use other tools also. There's a bunch of them online, but this is what I found the most valuable. So click this link, scroll down and upload this photo. All right. And as you see, it's going to upload and start compressing. So just give it a second before it finishes compressing. So now that you see, it's compressed the photo to only 20% of its original size. It's compressed the photo 81%. Alright, so now you just download this photo, open that, and when you open the photo, you'll still see a pretty decent quality. Faces are still identifiable. But now if I right click and go to properties, you'll see that the file size has been reduced to 2.1 megabytes. And this is clearly within the limit that is allowed. Also, the pixel size is still 6720 by 4480, which is way above the minimum pixels required. So we meet both these standards. This is a good photo. You can upload this. All right. Okay, so let's go to the next set of instructions. So if you come back to the document checklist, section 7E, it says you have to write your name and date of birth on the back of each photo and provide a brief description of the context on the back of each photograph. All right, so let's do that. So I'm going to be working on the same photo that we just saw earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it out and open it with the preview tool. This comes pre-installed on a Mac or a MacBook. All right. So if you're using Windows, what you can do, you can use Microsoft Paint to do the same thing. So now this is what I did. I just wrote the context inside this photo on a small text box, and I just put that text box right here, which you can do that in Microsoft Paint also. You don't have to do that. You don't have to follow this. You can actually have this photo copied and pasted inside a Microsoft Word file and then provide the context there. But because in the instructions it says JPEG and JPG files are allowed, and this is a JPEG which we are working on, it just made sense for me to just put the text right inside this photo. And I'm providing the complete text. So we are going to look at how to do that in Word next. But if you want to do this way, this is what I did. You're free not to choose that, but let me show this to you anyway. So in preview, there is this tool with a pen inside a circle. This is a markup tool. So you click on this markup tool, then you will select this text box here. All right, so you select this text box, and then what you can do is you can drag it to the corner, lower right corner of the photo, and then you can just write name, date of birth, and context here. All right, and I'm just going to extend it so that it looks pretty. And under name, you just provide your first name and last name, date of birth of the applicant, by the way. This name and date of birth should be of the applicant, which in this case was my wife. Okay, I was the sponsor. Now, under context, what you can do is you can either just write that this is a wedding reception photo. So I'm just going to write wedding reception. Now this is completely your choice. You can actually provide the names and details of the other people present in the photo also. I didn't do that, and I don't know if it's acceptable or not, but this is just what I did based on the instructions that clearly say you have to write the name and date of birth of the applicant on the back of each photo. All right, so that's what I did. And under context, it's completely your choice. You can experiment, you can provide the details of other people, or you can simply provide the description of the event. And one more thing that you can provide is the date this photo was taken. So you can write date of photo, and let's just say December 15th, 2020. All right, so this completes the context. Then just drag it towards the lower right corner, and you can obviously arrange this to make it look pretty. I'm not going to do that here. That's up to you. And this should complete the photo. So now if I click on save, go back and open that photo, I have a complete photo with all the details required, the size still within the limits, and the description, name and date of birth provided. All right. So if I click on properties or info, then I can see that the file size is increased slightly because I added text, but it only increased to 2.4. The previous size we saw was 2.1. It's still acceptable because the instructions are for 4 megabytes maximum. All right. So this is definitely an acceptable photo. Another thing that you can do is go to your Google Drive, click on new, open Google Docs to open a online Microsoft Word document, and simply copy that photo and paste it in the Word doc. So now you have your photo, and then you can simply provide name, date of birth, and context below the actual photograph. All right. So now if I provided that, let's label it photo 1, and I'm simply going to download this as a Microsoft Word document. And if I look up that photo, open it, I should see a photo with the context and description and name and date of birth. All right. And the next thing you can check is to see if the file size is still less than 4 megabytes. So again, right click, go to properties or get info if you're using a Mac, and it says 430 KB. So 430 KB is way lower than the maximum size of 4 megabytes. So this photo is acceptable. And as long as the contents inside the photo are easily visible and identifiable, this photo will also work. Personally, I would always prefer the method that I just showed you to provide context and description inside the photograph. That just reduces the hassle and tediousness of this process and makes it simple and organized. But again, feel free to choose. This is completely your choice. As long as you meet the criteria, you should be okay. Alright, so now let's look at how to label the photo that we just prepared. So if you come back to the online portal, at the same place, recommended document labeling, there are instructions. So it clearly says that please use the following naming convention when labeling: last name, first name, document type, and then document number. All right. So for instance, you're uploading proof of education and you're uploading 5 documents from proof of education. So your naming convention would be Wong, last name, first name John, proof of education 1. If you have 7 such photos, then you will have Wong, John, proof of education 1 through 7. Okay. So let's look at how to do that for the photo that we just prepared. So this is the photo that we just prepared, and because this is a wedding reception photo, I am simply going to rename it as last name, first name, wedding reception 1. And if I choose to upload 5 such photos from the wedding reception, then I will have 5 photos: last name, first name, wedding reception 1, last name, first name, wedding reception 2, wedding reception 3, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, this is just one type of photos. Let's say I wanted to upload engagement photos or wedding ritual photos also. So if I open this photo, this is the wedding ritual photo. Again, I will have to provide context either inside the photo or using the Word document Google Doc method that we just saw earlier. Once I have all that prepared, I check the size, it's less than 4, and then I label it. All right. So the way to label it would be right click, rename, and last name, first name, wedding ritual 1. And I uploaded 7-8 photos from wedding ritual. So I had 7 such photos from 1 through 7. So that's how the labeling is going to work. All right. And by the way, you have to provide similar labeling not just to photos, but to the other documents you are going to upload here also. So let's say you're uploading a identity or civil status document, let's say Aadhaar card or passport, then you'll have the same naming convention. So last name, first name, passport. And because it's only one of a kind, you don't have to provide a number. All right. It's not the passport number that they are asking. It's the number of the document within that group. All right. So do the same thing for confirmation of nomination if you are applying for a PNP. Do the same thing for passport, letter of explanation, all photos, translation or certification documents, document checklist, the 5533 checklist that we are working on, and all the other documents that you upload for your proof of relationship. All right. So a lot of you have asked me if you should upload all these photos once you've prepared them combined or individually. So that is actually completely your choice, as long as your combined photo document is less than 4 megabytes or equal to 4 megabytes. Because if it's more than 4, it's not going to allow you to upload it. What I did was, because we'd hired a professional photographer throughout our wedding functions to shoot photographs, and each photograph that was taken was very high quality, high resolution, upwards of 30 megabytes. Then for me to compress each individual photo from 30 megabytes using the free tool that I showed you to 2 to 3 megabytes and then combine them all was not possible. What I could do was compress each high quality photo into less than 4 megabytes using the compressed JPEG tool that I showed you, add context, add labeling, and then simply upload them one by one. So when you get to the photos section, there is no upper limit as to how many photos you can upload. You can choose to upload as many photos as you like. So why not upload each photo in decent quality one by one? But if you can find a software that can compress all your photos combined into a size which is less than 4 megabytes, then feel free to upload that as well. So let's say you compress a 30 megabyte photo into a 3 megabyte photo. Then if you combine it with like 10 photos, your size again exceeds the allowed limit 4 megabytes here. Your size becomes 30 megabytes, which would not allow you to upload the photo here. So what you can do is you can upload those photos in groups then. Try to find 5 photographs, combine them, compress the size to less than 4 megabytes, then upload them. And you can then do this for like, let's say 5 or 6 groups of photographs, so that you still meet the number of photos required, but now you can combine and upload. So it's completely your choice. Upload them one by one, convert them into groups and upload them as groups of less than 4 megabytes. Or if you can find a software, combine everything all together and upload it. All right, it's your choice. Okay, so next let's look at the permanent resident photo, your actual photo of the applicant that you are asked to upload. So the online instructions are not very clear because first of all, they are very limited in what they talk about. The back of one photo must contain the following and must be uploaded: bear the date the photo was taken, the name and date of birth of the subject, which is the applicant, and the name and complete address of the photography studio. All right, so that much is clear. The photographer may use a stamp or handwrite this information, so this is not a problem. But when you go to the permanent resident photo instructions that are mentioned on your guide, the picture kind of changes. So if you look at the photo specifications, it is very clear what dimensions, photo size you have to use, what should be the spacing, the way shoulder and the head should be arranged, the background, the posture that you must have, and the expression that you must give. It's all listed in this instructions here. So when you go to the photographer to get your photo taken, you will definitely have to take the printout of these instructions to give to your photographer so that they know how to get the physical photo. So while taking the physical photo is pretty easy, you get the front and then you get the back and then you write the details mentioned on the back. Doing the same thing online is where a lot of us get confused. So there is a couple of ways you can do this, and this is again completely your choice. I'm just going to explain what I did. I don't know if it worked or not. I haven't received an AOR yet. Once I do, I will let you know. This is what I did. I got my wife to get this picture taken in this exact format following these instructions that are mentioned here, and get a physical copy of that photo. All right, that is good. Now what she did was she scanned, or had the photographer scan, the front and back of the physical copy of the photograph into a digital copy. All right, which then she was able to combine and upload to the online portal. So this is what the digital copy looked like. This is the front side and this is the back side. All right, with name, date of birth, date the photograph was taken, and the address and the name of the color lab or the digital photography studio. So the thing about digital photographs is you are not going to have the same dimensions that are mentioned on the physical photograph. Why do I say that? Because every online software which you use to open a photograph, whether you're using a Windows or a MacBook, is going to either scale it up or scale it down based on the way it's been built. And if it scales it up or down, its size is not going to stay consistent. All right. So right now, if you see, I've opened this in Adobe PDF and I've combined the two pages, and it's at 160% zoom. So while this is a good file, it's within 4 megabytes and it's ready to upload, the physical dimensions don't really agree with the dimensions that are mentioned here. I personally feel that this is okay because you're not going to be able to get that. So if I zoom down, let's say I zoom to 75%, I can make it look like the scan of an actual physical photo. But I can zoom up also, and then the size increases. I personally think this should not matter because ultimately they are going to take the printout of this photo that you submit, compress it, and reduce its size and shrink it down so that it can fit the permanent resident card. Okay, and the way I know this is because I did my own permanent residence through express entry. I simply submitted a digital photograph of myself, which I got taken in a studio. I didn't even have to do all this dimension thing there. I just got my photograph taken from his studio and I simply uploaded the front and back of that photograph on my permanent residence portal, the IRCC Express Entry profile, and it was accepted. When they responded back to me with a passport request, then I had to send the physical photo that I got taken in the photography studio. All right. And that is when these dimensions will really matter. All right. So based on that experience, this is what I did for my wife's permanent residence sponsorship. I just got the photo from the digital studio. I combined it with the front and back photos, and I simply uploaded this PDF file into the permanent residence portal right here under the photos section. All right. And I'm yet to find out if it gets accepted or rejected. I don't know, but this is the only logical thing that I could come up with. Another thing that you can do if you're really particular about getting the digital photo in these exact formats is that you can go to these links. There's one that I found that says 123passportphoto.com. There's another one, epassportphoto.com. It says free, but it's not free. Once you get to the final page, it's going to charge like $6-7 Canadian dollars. So let's go to this link and see how it looks like. So you select the country as Canada, you select permanent resident, it agrees 50 by 70 millimeter. The instructions are 50 millimeter by 70 millimeter. Then what you do is you click on start, then you browse to select your photo. So let's select the same photo that we looked at. And then it will ask you to arrange your face within these two blue lines. So I tried doing that, but my photo is scaled to a resolution that doesn't really allow that. But as you can see, my photo already is in a pretty good format as requested under the permanent resident photo instructions. So I'm not going to alter it. I'm simply going to select the entire photo. Then I'm going to scroll down and click on next. It will process it, and then it's going to give you a couple of options. A couple enhanced options and one original. I would go with the original. And then you have two options again. You can either download the physical copy, print it out, or you can simply download the digital version. So for online, you will download the digital version. And then once you click on download, it's going to give you an option to purchase it. So this link works like this. And there's another link that I showed here, which also will ask you for payment eventually. So this epassportphoto.com is also going to ask you like $5 or $10. I could not find any free links, but if you actually find free links and websites that can do this for free, then definitely use that. So proceed with caution, but ultimately choose what you feel is the most logical option for you. All right. Okay, quick PSA. I started this channel not as an immigration consultant or lawyer in any way, shape or form. I just wanted to document my journey of bringing my wife into Canada and help as many people as I could. So rest assured, I have not heard anything yet. I'm also still waiting, still hopeful, still recording, and still thankful for your response. So take whatever I say with a healthy dose of skepticism. There's other YouTubers out there who are making amazing content and very informative videos. So always check their videos also, and double check your information on the IRCC page. Do not proceed unless you completely understand the instructions on the CIC website, because that is your guide. That is what you should follow. All right, that's been it for this video. I hope you found some value in it. Hopefully the next time you watch my video, you are fighting with your partner. Not on the phone about which forms to fill, but actually over the remote on which Netflix show to watch while you're snuggled up on the couch sharing a warm cozy blanket and a cup of hot coffee. Good night.